Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. How y'all doing tonight? With Claressa Shields, Papoose, her career, the drama with the comedian, there's a lot of publicity surrounding Claressa Shields right now. What's she gonna do about it? Had one person tell me, you know what, man? All publicity is good publicity. And they were saying that Claressa Shields is in the best position, career-wise, that she's ever been in. I don't know, do you agree or you disagree? Because I personally think the publicity can go way too far. And when you think about Claressa Shields, what do we want here? Do we want to just deal with the champ? Someone who makes the refinements necessary to come out here and be an example and be the face of women's boxing? Or do we want someone who's just like, I'm just glad to finally be getting the publicity I deserve, even though it's not good publicity, it's publicity. And I'm cool with the chaos. I can thrive in chaos. I just think we need to understand when it comes to Claressa Shields, one of the greatest female boxers of all time, man. She got a whole lot to work on. We know what she did in the Olympics, what she's been doing in boxing, medals, championships, undisputed distinctions, a barrier breaker, okay? But lately the story around her, it's just not been good. From Laila Ali coming out and doing that video to this crap that happened between her boyfriend / I'm not sure what Papoose says to her. Someone said he's her manager. I didn't even take time to look it up. I don't even care about that. I just know there's some drama that happened out there with her, him, and this comedian. And then a lot of female boxers who seem to have kind of come together and form Pangea. It kind of left Claressa out. You know what I'm saying? Because of her attitude. But when you think about the story about her shifting, you know what I'm saying? It's not just about what she does in the ring. You know, it's about what she's doing outside the ring, you know. These call-outs she's been doing on every single fighter and breaking every single fighter down. And you got retired legends' names being mixed up. Now you got the social media drama incident involving, you know, there was an incident a while back where I think it was her brother. Somebody punched it was a trainer. Punched him, hurt him. But the trainer was being real disrespectful. I don't know who the female was. If it was Claressa Shields' friend, cousin, sister, I don't know. He was being real aggressive towards it. Ain't no need to be that aggressive to no female, even though she was talking kind of slick. I don't think a man can win arguing with a female. So just leave it alone. But anyway, there was a little bit of drama back then. But the bottom line is, with Claressa Shields, the public perception has always been more along the lines of her bullying, okay? And some image issues. So I think the question now is this exactly the publicity that she wanted? Or is she playing with fire by not getting a hold of all of this publicity and her name circulating the way it is? And as far as what her name's being attached to. And I'm just curious, you know, how will this affect her career, her brand, her legacy? Because right now, maybe now we're just having a conversation here because I don't know what she's thinking. But maybe she thinks it's not a big deal. They're talking. We've been stirring the pot. We've been pushing buttons. We've been looking for reactions. And now we're getting everything that we asked for. Although it isn't all good, it's what we wanted. All publicity is good publicity. No publicity, you got a problem. If people aren't talking about you, you're not doing your job. That's how some people see it. But I do understand when they say, because in every sport, every headline is a punch, and every punch outside the ring can land harder than one inside it. That's the thing that I think she may be missing. But I do understand, man, that, publicity matters. You got to think publicity, man, like, that's the currency of modern sport. That's why they're always talking about fighters, their profiles, the platforms they're on, their management, having a social media presence. Let me tell you something. This is probably the biggest social media presence that Clarissa Shields has ever had. You know what I'm saying? And for someone like her, who competes in women's boxing, a category that I believe historically has been underpromoted, which things have really picked up now, and Jake Paul is really helping. And the bottom line is that I just think there's a lot of visibility right now, and as a result, that could create some opportunities for Clarissa Shields. She could go on to WWE and wrestle Jake Paul's brother Logan Paul. Like, you don't know where this could go with her if she gets control of it. But the thing is, in 2019, there was an article that noted that Shields was trying to draw a crowd, get sponsors, and get the recognition her talents demanded. So since 2019, she's really been pushing to kind of get what she's kind of getting now, but she's not getting it for good reasons. You know what I'm saying? What she's getting now is not for good reasons, but it's kind of what she wanted. You know what I mean? She wants to draw attention to herself. She got the attention. She wants to draw a crowd. I'm sure she'll have a crowd at her next fight. Her last one wasn't that bad. I'm sure she may have more than ever now. Or it may backfire. That's why she got to contain this publicity and do the right thing with this opportunity. As far as sponsors, I don't know. But one thing about these sponsors, like I said, publicity is currency. And there may be some people who decide to get behind it. But I don't see it, though. You know what I'm saying? Until she, dusts herself up and cleans up her image a little bit more. But as far as the recognition her talent demands, the talent alone is not going to get her what she wants. Because she needs good publicity. The publicity she has right now, I don't care what no one says. It's not good publicity, all right? If she can really come out here and change things around, I think the first thing is just to come out here and apologize, a public apology to any and everybody, just a blanket apology. But I can't see her doing that. But if she can do that, then good publicity can increase her bargaining power for purses, sponsorships, raise her global profile, making her a household name beyond boxing fans, and boost women's boxing as a whole, leading to bigger events, higher TV rights, mainstream media coverage. Now, she already had documentaries about her life. It's called The Fire Inside. But the thing is, she's got to make a decision on what she wants to do. Because for me to try to see how she's being received globally right now, it's not good. And I just think a lot of these things we're talking about are going to get further and further away from her, because now you're talking about her publicity is bad publicity. And I get it. Everyone's talking, so now people know your name, but it's not for the right things. And when you have bad publicity, that can make fans turn against you. A lot of fans have turned against Clarissa Shields. It can damage your brand, which I think she had a good thing going after that movie came out. But she's just like in this descent. You know what I'm saying? And she needs to figure out a way to break that fall. How she's going to do it, I don't know. But I don't think she's helping her brand at all. And when you damage your brand, it makes sponsors hesitant. So, if she thought she was struggling before to get people to want to support her and make her the face of their brand or put money in her pocket for whatever reason, she thought it was bad before. She's going to see now, you know what I mean? Because they're going to be even more reluctant to work with her. And when you have bad publicity, it can divert focus from your performance to your persona. Again, what she doesn't want. And for Shields, I just honestly think the line between dominating athlete and public villain is thinner now than ever. Let me tell you something. You look at Floyd Mayweather. He was a dominant athlete. He may have been seen as kind of the bad guy, but I don't think anyone saw Floyd as a public villain. He wasn't necessarily out here just disrespecting everyone. I mean, when they used to do the HBO 24/7, he would promote the fight, and he was pretty sharp and pretty funny and things about his opponents. He was very entertaining. Floyd understood what he had to do to market himself, to promote the fight, and to maintain a good lock on the publicity. But I don't think Floyd was ever seen as a public villain. He had the little thing with the mother of his children. But Clarissa Shields' story is different because, everything with Clarissa Shields is just aggressive, is violence, is negative. Floyd wasn't like that. He wasn't like that. Even though there's some similarities between he and Clarissa Shields, she's really being seen as a public villain. Floyd, I thought he was seen as kind of the guy everybody wanted to see get beat, but he was seen more as a dominating athlete than public villain. Clarissa Shields is seen more as a public villain than dominating athlete. So how's she going to be able to switch that? I don't know. But I do think, like I said a moment ago, man, the line between dominating athlete and public villain for Clarissa Shields is thinner than ever before. So what's happening with Shields right now? Look, this is just a conversation, right? I think her image is being affected, and not in a positive way. But she has an opportunity to resolve that. I just think she's letting too much time go. To me, she should have already come out and said something. But the one thing that's really annoying people is just her focus seems to be in the past instead of the future. What I mean is, messing with these retired legends, and even talking about retired legends who don't have nothing to do with boxing. They're just chilling. She just need to leave them alone. Go after active fighters. But when you're repeatedly calling out retired legends, and when you do call out the active fighters, she may want to reconsider the bold, provocative statements that she makes. Because this fuels conversation, but sometimes it alienates fans, especially older fans. And when you get the younger generation who decide to alienate and ostracize you, then you're doing something bad, because the younger generation likes all that toxicity. You know what I'm saying? They like the drama. And when you get the little TikTokers out here saying, hell no, we ain't messing with Clarissa Shields, that's not the kind of publicity you want. Now, I'll say this. This incident involving, Papoose and the comedian, it adds some personal drama. But I just think when a non-fight headline, which is what this is, this stuff with this comedian, this guy who harasses the shit out of everybody, that's a non-fight headline that Clarissa Shields' name is tied up in. When your name is being tied up in non-fight headlines, let me tell you something. And it dominates your story, because that's dominating her story. Boxing becomes secondary. So the bad publicity is not good at all. As far as her comparisons to legends, this whole thing about the GOAT, I'm the GOAT. That GOAT tag, her comments about other athletes and awards, Some fans feel, she's trying to demand and force you to give her this respect when she doesn't realize you have to earn respect. And I just think the perception, she's becoming less about a great fighter and more about being a controversial personality. But I want to see how she handles all of this, because it's not cool, man, for her to, like, I'm like, yo, how she get to this point? You know what I'm saying? That shit happened like that. Like, how do we get to this point to where now she on TMZ for something crazy? Just doesn't make sense. How she out here on this damn other show, this platform, $1 million worth of game? How she out there self-incriminating herself and talking and basically telling in detail what her boyfriend did, but bragging about it, telling people, y'all would be so proud of Pap. Y'all be proud of Pap. Y'all be proud of Pap. Why would you throw your man under the bus like that? Let me tell you something. I get it. I understand the whole thing about publicity. I get it. If for some reason I somehow create a viral moment, like I kind of had a little bit of a moment when Turkey Al Sheikh took one of my videos and reposted it. And he was like, good, maybe this will help you with your views. And he was poking me in the eyeball, you know what I'm saying? Because he recognizes that I don't have no 200,000 followers and shit. But he dissed me. But it got a lot of attention. I was like, holy shit. Thousands and thousands of people looked at that damn thing that he reposted, and I picked up a few viewers off of that, subscribers, and that was crazy. But, so I understand the publicity. Now, that wasn't necessarily bad publicity, because people were like, yo, your content is on point. But, some of that, I stirred the pot on some things. Turkey out, she didn't like what I was saying, I'm assuming. But I think highly of the dude. I'm going to have conversations on my channels, and you may not always agree. So, as far as Claressa Shields, she got to be careful, because I think everything with her is going more towards it being a controversial personality, and maybe that's what she wants deep down, is whatever it takes to go viral and have those moments, and maybe she can become a Conor McGregor of the MMA world. Maybe she can create some viral moments and become the Floyd Mayweather, although he was seen as a dominant athlete. Maybe more people will want to come out to see her lose. Maybe that's the role she wants to do. Maybe she wants to be the next Ricardo Mayorga. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she really wants to be that. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I agree, yes. She's getting publicity now. But again, my question is it the right kind? And is it helping her or is it hurting her? And I'm going to tell you right now, if it's taking money out your pocket, it's not helping you. If you put money in your pocket, that's just helping you. And right now, it looks like it's on kind of GPS is locked into going towards money out, having money taken out your pocket. And that's not what she wants. So I just think there's always going to be a conversation about good publicity versus bad publicity, man. And there are some pros to good publicity. And we just got to be real about Claressa Shields and see if this is happening for her. Good publicity can raise her market value. Is her market value being raised? Now, if for some reason she's able to secure a fight with Laila Ali, then you better believe her market value is going to skyrocket, because her fighting Laila Ali, there's going to be a lot of money on the table for both of them. But after that, what happens? I don't know. But I would say the pros of good publicity, market value goes up, more attention equals potentially higher purses, bigger platforms. The visibility for women's boxing, Claressa Shields, I think could end the argument on who's the face of the sport. And I think she could go on and become the face of boxing, female boxing. Something television networks and sponsors look for. But boxing is it's just right now, it's just in an evolution, you know what I'm saying? Where you got Saudi, you got Zuffa boxing, sanctioning bodies are there, but are they going to be there 3-4 years from now? And what's going to happen to all the big money, all these big fights we've been getting? Just boxing across the board. Women's boxing a little bit different, but boxing across the board, it's just the money's coming from Saudi. And you just don't know what's going to happen with television networks and sponsors. But the bottom line, if you have good publicity, the money's going to be there, and these networks and sponsors are going to be looking for you. And then you'll be able to control the narrative. If Clarissa Shields can steer it correctly, and that's what I keep coming back for, she has an opportunity here to do something great. But if she can steer it correctly, steer that narrative correctly, she can use the drama to elevate her brand, create a major fight, draw casual fans. But she's got to come out, I think, and just publicly make an acknowledgement about the way she's been doing business. But I just don't see her doing it. But if she does that, maybe Clarissa Shields can have good publicity surrounding her now. It seems like good publicity all ended after the Olympics. She turned pro, and then it went from being good the first couple of fights to all being negative. But she has a lot to do with that. Now, the whole thing about the cons of publicity, now we're talking about the bad publicity. This is where I think Clarissa Shields is right now. Now, I'm hoping she can kind of climb out of this and recover, but right now, I just think she's in she's in that bad publicity category. Now you're talking about fan alienation. You're seen as toxic, seen as a bully, too outspoken, too confrontational, too disrespectful. On the edge. What will she do next? That kind of shit. When you're dealing with that fan alienation, you risk losing mainstream support. Some fans don't like drama; they like heroes, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the hero always wins. I'm gonna tell you that the person who's professional is always most successful. The person with a good attitude always gets the better opportunities. It doesn't mean they're the most effective. The most effective person can have the worst attitude in the world, but at some point, you don't want to deal with that person. I'm telling you from fucking experience, man. I've seen this shit happen time and time again. And I just think Clarissa Shields needs to understand. The boxing fans, we don't want all that drama. We want a hero. Dominating the ring, you could give us some entertainment. You could give us some moments. But be a hero, not a zero. That's some old school shit right there. And then your brand risk with bad publicity. We've talked about it. There's nothing really for me to say again, except sponsors are going to sit there, man, and they're going to shy away if they associate you with chaos rather than class. And Clarissa Shields has got to learn this, man. But then again, whatever little community that she's, she dwells in, they could all pretty much be like her and be all about the chaos instead of being classy. And that's something she's going to have to figure out, man. Then more downsides when you talk about bad publicity is focus distraction. She gotta try to just alleviate the personal, professional, internal, external drama. She gotta alleviate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because the less you focus on training, the less you focus on performance, the less you focus on the ring, being in the ring, it probably all derives from distractions. And that's what I think she has right now. And then your legacy starts to fade. All this good stuff Clarissa Shields has been doing, the legacy will start to fade. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't want that to happen because the narrative starts to become more about what she said, what she did outside the ring, who she's with and what they did or what they said. And her greatness in the ring is going to get overshadowed because no one's going to be talking about and remembering her for all the great things she did. They're going to be remembering her for the drama, for the turmoil, for the chaos. And that's her current posture. And that is not good, man. So I think for Clarissa Shields, the GOAT, I think the balance is delicate. She may have set out intentionally to stir conversation, but conversation doesn't always convert back to into sustained respect. And that's something that she got to be careful to do right now, because I do think there's an opportunity for her to take that stirred conversation and convert it back into sustained respect. But I just think she's taken way too long to come out and say anything about Laila Ali and anything about this situation with the comedian. So what could happen is her whole career could turn into a goddamn circus. You know what I'm saying? So now we got to get into the extremes on Claressa Shields as a fighter and her career and what direction this could go. She could become the damn Circus Act version of boxing. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of criteria there. We could do thousands of videos on Claressa Shields, just the way she's conducted herself, her outbursts, these little short clips. There'd be all kind of memes about Claressa Shields if somebody really wanted to sit down and put the energy into taking all the little sound bites and stuff she's given us over the years. She's put out thousands of videos. But I just think she's becoming more famous for social media beef than for her actual fights. Matter of fact, she is more famous for her social media presence than for her actual fights. Most people talk about Claressa Shields, they ain't talking about what she did in the ring. They're talking about her and Gervonta Davis, her and Adrian Broner, her and this person, her and that person, her and Amanda Serrano, her and Jake Paul, her and this, her and that, her and this. Her and Turkey Sheik, her and this. She got something that they're not talking about. Yo, man, Claressa Shields, you saw what she did in the ring. You saw her last fight. You saw this. That ain't what they talking about. They talking about her and her drama. But she doesn't have to remain in that. You know what I'm saying? She don't need to be caught up in all the beefs. People talking about that instead of her actual fights. I think it's possible. I think it is possible for her to try to sort some things out, but if she wants to lean fully into drama, calling out influencers, crossover fights, non-traditional events, like this WWE stuff I was talking about earlier, her shit could turn into a circus. You know what I'm saying? Now, if that happens, now this is the thing, you know, she might draw casual viewership, which is good for clicks. But again, you start risking alienating serious boxing purists. She can make short-term money but degrade her long-term legacy. And she might become like an influencer fighter hybrid. Think of some of the crossover boxing fights rather than a pure sport champion. Matter of fact, think about Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis he chose not to fight the great fights. We understand what he did at 130, 135, and 140. I think he also did 120. I think it's four weight divisions. But the bottom line is, there are a lot of people who look at Gervonta Davis and they're like, okay, we know Gervonta Davis can fight. He just chose not to really. He's fighting Jake Paul now. Gervonta is. Some fans I think they almost want to categorize him like an influencer fighter hybrid, you know, because at one point they felt there was no one that could beat Gervonta Davis. You know, he looked so damn dominant that some people felt that he hit so hard he'd have a chance at heavyweight. And he's only fighting at 130, 135. But the bottom line is now, because he hasn't gone and chased greatness, and even he was caught up in a lot of drama too, bad publicity. Now he's fighting Jake Paul. They more see him as a guy who just came in to rob the boxing bank. He was never truly, you know, a fighter because he didn't really run towards the greatness. And I think Claressa Shields has ran towards the greatness, but I just think at the same time, if her career starts looking more like a circus, she could end up, you know, being viewed the same way. So on the flip side, everything could pivot, you know. Use the publicity to create a genuine fight. Clean up the narrative, bring legitimacy back, and emerge as a respected, hard-fighting icon, which is really what I would like for. But again, to do that requires a commitment that, you know, I don't know if she has. For that anyway. It requires some discipline, focus, and just a clear plan of action. Otherwise, a career could fall apart into a spectacle rather than a sport. And right now, Clarissa Shields' career, I think, is kind of in the balance. Is it going to go the direction of being a spectacle, or is it going to go the direction of just being more aligned with the sport of boxing? But if she's trying to make the most money possible, she may be okay with this shit turning into a spectacle. And that could be why she's out here really trying to go for the Laila Ali fight. That could be why. Because she's like, forget the sport of boxing. I want a spectacle. I just want money. I want that boxing crossover money. I want that social media influencer money. And Jake Paul money, but hey man, it's up to her. I just think people need to understand the science of attention. And what happens to an athlete when we start talking about attention. You see, when an athlete's under constant public scrutiny, like Claressa Shields, stress hormones stay elevated, man. Over time, this impairs recovery, sleep, reaction time, decision making. So Claressa Shields has to be very careful of putting herself out there and being under constant public scrutiny for the wrong things. Because over time, this has an adverse effect on her. And that will affect in-ring performances. Every external drama is additional mental weight that she can't afford to carry around. If you're worrying about headlines, which she's all in the headlines right now, if you're worried about sponsorships, which doesn't seem to be attracting any new ones at the moment, and you're worrying about image, so here it is again where you're using mental energy that should go towards training, sparring, and strategy, but you can't because you're worried about all these other things. So that's called a cognitive load increase. So she got to figure it out, because one thing that she wants, she wants a rush of attention. You know what I'm saying? She's tying her self-worth to public approval. And I think that's why you see where it's like swings in attention, good to bad. It could be why she seemed to be a little moody and have mood disorders, because I talked about it before. It's like she seemed like she wants validation, man. But I don't know. One thing I haven't heard her say yet when it comes to boxing is there's been a motivation loss. She seems to still be motivated. I don't think I've seen any performance anxiety, but I have seen, and it could be because she's, fighting at a heavier weight class, a bit of a deterioration in her performances. Maybe because the women are much bigger, because she's put on weight. I don't know. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And if she comes back down in weight for her next fight, we'll see how she looks. But I just think, if that's the case, I think we've got to identify some threats that could result in her losing her next fight. But I just think sometimes the rush of attention becomes the goal rather than the performance. And that's why when she goes on some of these platforms, she talks about the things she talks about. Even when they have her coming over, man, to help host a fight and commentate on a fight, and you can see when she put on all her makeup and her eyelashes and she got little wigs on and she dressed up. You can see how she talking. She talking with her eyes, you know what I mean? She all like this and blinking and all that shit. It's like she wants the attention, you know what I'm saying? And that's the goal instead of the performance of her as a commentator. And then I saw she there. Now she a fighter now, so I give her a pass for this one, but she'll be there commentating, dressed up, cleaned up, suited and booted, and looking, what she feels is looking, professional. And she'll be there arguing with the goddamn fighters, you know what I'm saying? She just don't care, but the bottom line is you don't want her to start to become one of these athletes that are just chasing the headlines. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what happens is there'll be a post-attention crash. You're no longer getting the attention, the buzz fades. Athletes can experience a drop in mood. So I think she should appreciate the fact that she's not caught up in all the headlines and stuff the way that maybe she wants to be, because if she's chasing that attention, and when that buzz about her fades, she gonna crash, man. She gonna crash out. You know what I'm saying? And that's not good. So without the external stimuli like publicity and hype, fighters like Claressa Shields may struggle to find internal drive, and that can be dangerous. So to me, for the GOAT, the drama is driving her more than her training. The risk is high. The noises become louder than the gloves. And when the attention dies down, the athlete must rely on internal motivation. Now, if that's been weakened, performance suffers. So we just have to wait and see if that's the case with Claressa Shields. But some people will say, nah, that's not it. Claressa Shields is a fighter at heart. One thing she loves is boxing. She'll not allow anyone or anything to cause her to lose focus on that. I mean, sometimes it ain't up to what you do and don't allow. It shit happens. You know what I'm saying? She can't. She gotta lock herself off away from the world, because let me tell you something. This is just getting started. Because if this lawsuit pops off, she's gonna be miserable. Every person who's doing an interview with her is gonna be asking about that. When she go, fans are wild. They'll shout things at you, say things to you. What's Papoose gonna do, man? Take on everybody? Want to fight everybody? Throw books at everybody who says something to Claressa Shields that she doesn't like? Even Papoose is gonna have to just take a deep breath and avoid stuff and stop being worried about this thing about people disrespecting and violating. That mentality gonna get your ass. You're gonna lose a whole lot of money and get you thrown in jail. And I don't want that for anybody. So they gotta figure things out. But if they do everything right, man, I think they can leverage attention into legacy. But if done wrong, they're gonna be remembered for everything but boxing. So, good luck to them. You know what I'm saying? That being said, where can Claressa Shields go from here? She gonna have to refocus on that ring. If she can get through all this drama, leave Laila Ali alone. Try to control the publicity. Be very selective about her media moments. You have to be in front of every damn camera. Be very selective about her media moments. Tell her story. Cut down on the provocations. Everything don't have to be you provoking somebody. Nah, man. She got to figure out a way to refresh her brand as an authentic champion, not an attention seeker, drama driver. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if she can do that, man. Avoid the spectacles. Don't become a spectacle. Don't do it. She's got to focus to me on meaningful fights, cutting down on the chaos, and just focusing on being great. And if she does that, man, again, she can definitely leverage the attention and the legacy and get back in the good grace of many boxing fans, because, like I said, many boxing fans have turned their back on her now. And it's unfortunate. But sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Because we can create our own misery. And I think she's done that for herself. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.